Hey everybody, I hope you're well. It's nice to be here. Welcome to Friendship Shaving once again. It was an interesting shave last week, wasn't it, with the Rocca? Thank you for all your comments about that. I had some good ones. A few people found that they had the same issues as I did, and in fact, I've written to Mühle, to their UK Innovation Centre, letting them know about my experience with the Rocca razor. Now, whether they'll come back to me with a response, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, this week I'm going to be using the Mühle R41. A couple of guys suggested that as I mentioned the R41 as my comparison for the Rocca, that I use it in a shave this week, and that I use it with an Astra blade, which of course I had it in the Rocca, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to use an Astra SP Super Platinum, double wrapped, but the only thing I don't like about these is the amount of glue they put on the blade. But I think the reason they do that, as well as the double wrapping, is to make sure that the blade doesn't move around within the paper. Because, you know, if you think that it's transported and there's going to be movement as it's going, if it constantly knocks up and down against that paper, maybe that would blunt the blade slightly. I don't know. That's the only reason I can think of why these companies use such a large amount of glue. So anyway, I'm going to put the Astra in on the cap, put the guard on, and put the handle on. So a new blade, and there we are, all ready to go. Never had a problem with this razor ever. First thing to notice in comparison to last week is there's no blade sticking out the edge of the razor, which I like. Going to be using my rubber set 203 this week with the black and white knot, and I'm going to be using a Barrister and Mann soap, which I like very much. I've been using it for a few days now. It's called First Snow, and this was another one of the samples sent to me by Neil. I've got some in a bowl, and I'm just going to use the bloom water to put on my face. I like this because it is the first soap that I've used where the scent has reminded me so strongly of a place that I used to go. Some of you will know that I used to live in the South Wales valleys, and I used to walk in the pine forest with my dogs, and this soap smells like a pine forest. Honestly, it's amazing. So let's get the brush wetted, shake it off, and we'll get going. Now, first of all, this soap just smells very green and fresh, and as you use a bloom water you get a bit more of the scent, but the scent really comes out when you get a brush in the soap, and there's just an explosion of pine. And I didn't think that I would like pine as a shaving soap, but I have to say this is really, really good. It just takes me right back to wandering up on the mountain behind Barry Sidings with my dogs. There's a little bit of irony in that You know, back in the day, the river would have been black with coal dust. There was no life in it whatsoever. And the Lewis Merthyr Colliery is right at the end of a little village called Treharford, which means summer village. And behind the village there would have been burning slag heaps, and the sidings would have been filled with steam trains ready to take the coal away. And of course now it's all been redeveloped. Barry Sidings has an ornamental fishing lake. There are community groups use it. There's a lovely walk by the river. You know, the river's got heron on it, kingfishers, mink, it's full of fish. You know, the whole area has been transformed since those days when the mines were king. And there is my brush loaded. The scent of this is just fresh and wonderful. It smells of pine, as I've said. It's not like your toilet cleaner, I promise you. If you've ever lived near or walked in a pine forest, to me that is exactly what it smells like. And the first time I used it, I just got such a vivid memory of, you know, the sun coming through the trees and shards of copper on the floor, you know, all the old pine needles and excuse me, the fresh ones coming on the trees, giving off this scent. So yeah, wonderful. I've really been enjoying this. There we are, I can see you again now that I've got my glasses on. Of course, it's a Barrister and Mann soap. And as is my experience with all Barrister and Mann soaps, the quality is superb. There is menthol in the soap, and it really is numbing. And I didn't used to like menthol in my shaving soap, but I'm coming to like it more. It's very cooling, and especially as I rinse my face in between the first pass and go on to the second pass, it's quite numb. And it really does remind me of walking up in those forests in the cold, sometimes in the snow, you know, and you're all wrapped up but the wind is on your face and your face is numb and cold. So for me there's a great deal going on with this soap that I like. Just add a drop more water. I must admit, I love getting samples. It's just a great chance, isn't it, to try different soaps and see which ones you like. Because I'll be honest with you, I probably never would have bought this. But it turns out that it's really nice, and I think it would be particularly nice in the summer on a really hot day. There we are, that will do. So I hope you've had a good week, everybody. I've had a pretty good one. The workmen have finally finished in the kitchen. Got a nice kitchen that's just been freshened up, new cupboard doors and everything. The only thing is that we've got these new lights in there underneath the cabinets, and they are little LED lights, and they're so white I can't look at them. You know, even the reflection of the light I find difficult to look at, so we just stick with the overhead lights. It's no big deal. Now, I digressed slightly there, didn't I? The R41, here we go. And I have never ever had an issue with this razor. I think it is quite a fantastic razor. But I do remember that there has been a lot of discussion online about this razor, which was first brought out, I think, in 2011 with a slightly different head design. Ow! Huh, ain't that funny? Never had a problem with it, and I've just caught myself on video, I think for the first time with it. Yeah, there we go. Famous last words. I should have gone like that with my tongue. Anyway, as I was saying, I believe that Mühle changed the head design in 2013. And it is the 2013 version that I have. I don't find it overly aggressive. I know there were issues on the 2011 version that occasionally the blade would flick and cut. Your skin if you were shaving. And I think that's quite well known, quite well reported, and I did wonder if Mühle will eventually change the head cap on the Rocca, or change the head of the Rocca. Sometime down the line. You know, I wonder if we are the we the public are the sort of research and development side of Mühle razors. I'm sure that's not the case. You know, Mühle go back a long, long way and have a very proud history. But it just made me wonder, that's all. You know, this is a great razor, absolutely great. Even though I have just caught myself there, it's still a great razor. I haven't done that with this razor. I don't think I've ever done that with this razor, so it just goes to show you, hey, you'll never be too cocky. Now I'll tell you a little story. I used to walk up on the mountain, as I said, and one day I went with my dogs. 2 dogs I had, Petra and Millie. And I walked right up to the top of the mountain, and you can see for miles up there. Because the woodland and the forest, they go back from, they go for miles. The Forestry Commission work up there, so, they log the forests, but they're a mountain bike trails and walkways. It's a wonderful place. Anyway, I clambered up to the very, very top of the mountain, and I was having a nice walk up there, just enjoying the view, when Millie, right in the corner of my vision, I could just see her out the corner of my eye, suddenly disappeared. Now, I didn't think too much of it because they were quite young dogs, and they sort of used to stare each other out and challenge each other, and then one would lunge and the brake was on and they'd tear around and run about and be quite puppy-like. So I didn't think too much of it. I just thought that she was hiding from Petra. But a couple of minutes went by, and Petra was taking no notice, and that was the thing that made me think, oh, this is odd. And I looked around. I could not see Millie anywhere. I whistled her. Now, she was a very well-trained dog. She would have come in an instant if I whistled. Nothing. No noise, nothing, no dog. So I wandered back because, I'd only wandered on a little way. I wandered back, and just in the long grass where she was, the first thing that gave me a warning that something was not right was a roll of barbed wire. That was the first thing that made me think, uh-oh. And when I looked at the grass, it was knitted together. I'll show you with my hands. The length of the grass was sort of knitted like this, and it went along a line. And I just knew there was a hole there under the grass. I started pulling the grass out in huge chunks, being careful not to drop in the hole myself. And I just got it. I tore out the middle and kind of folded it back, and I just looked in this black hole. And as the light shone in the hole, I just saw a pair of tan paws shoved into the edge of this crevice on one side. And her back paws were shoved into the crevice on the other side. And I realised that underneath her was just a hole. And I clambered in. She was down a fair way. I clambered in, and all the stones and the soil was breaking away from the edges. And it was narrow enough that I could have my left leg on one side of the crevasse and my right leg on the other. And I went in that way, but the stones were all falling down between my legs. And they weren't hitting the bottom for a very, very, very long time. So I realised that, she was hanging on for her life, literally. And as I got down to her, I managed to reach, and she was still below me. I managed to crouch and reach, and I grabbed her by the scruff of the neck. Now, she was about 4 stone. She was a big girl, but I curled her with my arm and sort of hooked her into my other arm to get a good hold of her. She didn't wriggle, she didn't move. I got both hands on her hind quarters and just threw her out of this hole, and then managed to get out myself. So that is my story of a dog rescue in South Wales. A tale of daring do, if you will. Do you know what though, as I was climbing out, I looked across, I was still in the hole, about 12 feet, she was about 12 feet down. And as I looked across, there was a bit that was like a shallow, and then it dropped into the shaft. And in that shallow, you know, there were bones, presumably of sheep. You know, I wrote to the coal board, I wrote to the council. Nobody wanted to know. I did write to my local paper and they ran a little story. You know, I often wonder if someone else's dog went in that hole, or worse, if it was kids. You just don't know, do you? But I did move the wire and put it around the hole, and I must admit I never went up there again, ever. But the day was saved and all was good. No, I just forgot to go. Just against the grain. On that bit of my chin, which I normally do. And that is my shave over with. I've got to say that the Mühle Rocca is not half as good as this. The R41 knocks spots off the Rocca. That's my opinion. Do you know, I smell so fresh and clean with this soap. God, it's great. It's really great. I've got no soreness. It's just a really terrific shave today with that razor. I love it. So there we are. Give the brush just a quick rinse. Pop it in camera shot there. So you can all drool over my brushing razor. Now today, I know this might surprise you, but I'm not going to use Nivea. I'm going to use a Proraso Green for a change. It's maybe a bit cold to be using this, but I'm in the house and the heating's on, and I think it goes perfectly with the pine and menthol of the Barrister and Mann First Snow soap. I've enjoyed that very much. When you use it, there's like, behind the pine, there's a slight sort of tarriness. It's just exactly like walking in a pine forest. But yes, the eucalyptus and the menthol of the Proraso I figured would go very well with this soap. And, excuse me, I just need to luxuriate in the feel of my face because I've had a terrific shave. That's a wonderful, wonderful razor, honestly. Honestly. And I'm looking for the lid. I can't find it. I'll just put that there. Now, with regards to the Astra, there's a lid. With regards to the Astra, it's a pretty good blade. It is not the smoothest blade that I've used, but I have to say it's perfectly all right, and it was definitely not the Astra blade that caused me the problem last week with the Rocca. I had, as I said on last week's video, tried a number of blades. The Astra was just another one in the list, but certainly in the R41, no problem with that Astra whatsoever, and I know a lot of you guys really like that blade. Nothing wrong with it, I just prefer others. I like the Voskhod. What can I say? So that's my shave. I hope you're having a good week. Thanks again for all your comments about last week's shave, the Rocca. Really appreciate that. It's been very informative. And until next week, you all take care of yourselves, look after yourselves and your family, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye now.